Hello everyone, this is an easy step-by-step teardown of the Quest 2 controller. I'm going to break it all the way down to the circuit board and then put it back together. You'll see every step of the process so that you can follow along and do it yourself. This is a long video because I'm trying to show the entire procedure. There's an index in the description for those that want to jump around. I'll try and give you pointers as I go. There are definitely a few spots that are challenging if you've never done it. I also have repair videos that use this as a basis. I've got how to rebuild a transducer, the bit you call a joystick, for free, and also how to replace the transducer. That one you have to buy off Amazon. I've got links to both of those in the description and comments. Before we get started, there are a few things I need to say. First off, it is possible to damage your controller during teardown and reassembly. You shouldn't do it unless you're willing to accept that fact. If it's not working and you fix it, that's great. If it's not working and it's still not working when you're done, you're not any worse off. ESD or electrostatic discharge can damage electronic components. I wear an ESD strap and work on an ESD surface during this video. You should take similar precautions when performing your repairs. If you've got questions, please hit me up in the comments. I'm happy to help if I can. Your question might help someone else out. If the video helps you out, please hit that like button. If you want to make my day, subscribe because I can use all the friends I can get. So to start with, take that cover off, pull the battery. Go ahead and pull the strap out. It'll just get in your way if you don't. Now you got to get that black cover off. And the first time you take it off, it's going to be a pain. There's some black stickum in there and it really sticks on. The first time I took one off, I popped it up with my fingers, but they started using a whole bunch of this black sticky stuff. And you may need a small screwdriver, small flathead screwdriver. You might need an X-Acto knife, something to pry up that edge so that you can work something else up in there. And you'll see how I do it. And that black sticky stuff is not in the same place on all controllers. I have torn, a dozen of them apart at this point. And it just, whoever put them together just put some in there and squished it together. So once you get in there, just start prying up a little bit. That black plastic is pretty tough. Just be careful. Don't shove it in too far. Kind of work it up like it's a bicycle tire you're trying to get off. Maybe just pry it up a little bit at a time. Work it around. You can see that stuff holding it down. Eventually it will pop loose. Pull it off. And I would go ahead and clean that black stuff out of there. It makes it easier to put back together, but you can get most of that off with just your fingers. All right, to make this easier, I am going to mark when I take screws and whatnot out of there where they're at so you can see. Had a brilliant idea. Use the plate as an example so it makes it a little bit easier to mark everything. You can do what you want, but there are 3 different screws that go in here. There's some short ones that are right there. They just help hold the ring cover on. And then there's a bunch of them that are all the same. And there's one long silver one and one long black one, and they're not quite the same length. So you want to annotate where all of those are and know where they're at. I try to document as best I can so I don't get lost. There's 9 screws in total, 2 short ones, 2 long ones, and then 5, I guess I will call those the regular screws, but you can see where they're at. If you're just, for some reason, if you were just taking the ring off, those angled screws that I'm taking off right there and the ones right below them, they go in at an angle. Once you get those loose, you can actually take that ring cover off without taking anything else off. I don't do that because I know I'm gonna take this whole thing apart, but if you were just trying to get in there, that's all you need to do. Now I will probably speed this up, taking the screws out, just to make it go a little quicker. You probably don't need to wait in slow motion while I do each one of these. This is one of the long screws right there, the long silver one. I'm just going to call that black for now. That way you'll know, but you'll see it's also a longer screw, but not quite as long as that silver one is. And I did index all this down in the comments. If you need to jump around, please do so. Take a look in the description and you will see the time jumps in there if you're looking for a particular part. I tried to be thorough so you could find everything. You've got to take that cover off the inside of the battery compartment, and you might be able to pry it up with your fingernail. I couldn't get there, so I got it started with the X-Acto knife. Then I pried it off with my fingers. Whatever works for you. Just for reference, there are 4 screws that go in the battery compartment. They are all the same size, so it doesn't matter where they go. All right, now we're going to pop that ring off. With the screws out, you basically get it and just pull it forward a little bit and work the ring off. Be careful of the sensors. And it just kind of pulls forward a little bit. You see the little features right there that kind of hold in it. So if you just pull it away from the ring, it should pop right off. This comes off fairly easy. It'll pop right out of there. And you see there's that one little bit and there's a hole right there. So when you put it out, that actually, you don't really see it come out, but it has to go inside of that when you're putting it together. So just be aware of that. All right, now we're going to take this back piece with the trigger attached off. And it basically just pops off. But to do that, be careful because the whole thing is loose right now. It's not super loose. I usually grab right there on the trigger, and then all we really need to do is pop this back off. And to do that, it's kind of a rolling motion. So see where I have my thumb and my finger, and I'm just going to roll just a little bit, and it'll pop right off. Just like that. Not a lot of force required. Works fairly easy for me. And then this will just slip right off. All right, now we're going to detach the piece with the ribbon cable, but before we do that, we want to detach the ribbon cable. So we're going to lift up the latch on the board right there. Ribbon cable may pop loose, that's fine. Kind of make sure it's out of the way, won't catch on anything. And then all we're going to do is lift up a little bit on the front and kind of slide it. You'll see it come right off. Lift up a little on the front where my finger was, and it just slides right off. That's how you do that. Super easy. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to mark where all the screw positions are. Now, the square silver bit right there, that's the transducer, the joystick. And it is not, other than the two screws, it is not physically attached except for a ribbon cable. So once you pull those screws out, and you want to make sure that ribbon cable's loose that I marked there, because it can just come right out, and you want to be careful pulling on it like any. Now, there are also two other ribbon cables, one on each side of the trigger. There is also an RC cable with a Umcc connector. That's the one on the left. You'll see it in a minute. I didn't write it down as when I was doing this, but I do before I keep moving on. All right. So using my fine tip tweezers, you can see where there's a ribbon cable there, and that trigger has a magnet on it. It wants to grab hold of stuff whenever you get close to it, so don't let that scare you. You flip it up, slide the ribbon cable off just like that. Comes right out. Just be careful. You don't want to puncture it. You don't want to tear it, anything like that. It's reasonably tough, but you just have to be careful. Same thing on the ribbon cable for the transducer. Get it up, and there's a little spot there where you could grab hold of that and pull it back. All right. Now, getting to those screws, the one right there is right up next to where the trigger is. You can get in there. You just have to be careful, and you're going to end up putting a little pressure on that trigger. Just be careful. So once both those screws are out, that transducer is loose. If you flip it over, don't be surprised if it falls out on you. And I still got one screw there in the middle that I haven't done, but I'm going to mark that RC cable, which doesn't stand for ribbon cable. But if you're interested, that's called a UMCC type connector. And to get it off, you just kind of lift the edge of it a little bit and it'll pop loose. Same thing when you go to put it on. You kind of put it on at an angle and just push it down and it will pop right on. So it's hard to do with my big fat fingers. All right, last screw there in the middle. Once that's loose, the whole circuit card is loose and it will come out. All right, I'm just going to lift it down and let everything come out.
Now you might notice the X and Y buttons stayed on there, but the oculus button comes off. It's a little mechanical switch. The X and Y buttons are a little bit different in how they actuate, and I will take a more detailed look at that. Transducer's not attached, like I said. Caps just slide right off of them. So under those springs is actually like a rubber cap that's stuck to the board. If it's not stuck to the board, it's not a problem. However, sometimes folks will spray those and they will get loose or they get something in it. There's another little mechanical actuator inside with some electrical contacts on it. And sometimes when those switches aren't working, those contacts have gotten stuck together. So you might have to, I'm not going to tear that one apart, but you can look at it and see. All right, let's go ahead and put this all back together. And remember, when you're doing this, as I mentioned before, ESD is important. It stands for electrostatic discharge, but you want to make sure you're grounded somewhere. I'm actually wearing an ESD strap. I'm on a little ESD bench I have at my house. You just want to be someplace careful so you're not conducting electricity back into that board while you're handling it. So everything should just seat in there. Make sure it all fits together good. I'm going to flip it over and check the triggers. They feel like they're going down. Everything's actuating, so I'm assuming they're lined up good. Let's go ahead and get the screws in. Once you get the screws in, check, make sure all the switches are good. Everything feels good mechanically. You don't want to put it all together and then find out something's not right. Let's go ahead and put that Umcc connector back on. Like I said, you get it, you get one edge of it kind of up, and then you just press it down and it should snap on. Do not try and force it. All right, there's a center conductor. See if I can give you a better example. Get it up. See, I'm kind of getting the front edge down, then I just press the back and it snaps right on. All right, let's Try to give you a good view now. And we're going to put those ribbon cables back on. Just be careful. Slide it in. Push the latch down. You're good to go. Remember, there are 3 of them that you have to get on the board before you put the handle on. There's one on the handle still, and that's the tough one. These are easy in comparison. Once I lock them down, I usually give them just a gentle tug to make sure they're in there all the way. You see those little lines on there, that also should go right up to the connector, not necessarily inside of it, right up to the edge of the connector, and that'll let you know it's in position. But if you pull on it gently and it doesn't come loose, it's attached.
Now it's time to put the handle back on. And the first thing you want to do is make sure you line up those little ridges right there with the ones in the handle. Get it in there. If you line those up and it lift up the front just a little bit, it'll drop right in. And it's attached now. Just be careful with it because there's no screws in it. Go ahead and get that ribbon cable hooked up. You want to slide it up. Make sure the little white stripe is right up to the front, and then click the latch down. Now we want to put the lower trigger piece on, and that just goes on. Just be careful, it slips around there. It doesn't require any force at all. Just kind of sits right up in there. And then you're going to hold it. See where my fingers are? I kind of hold it on both sides of that because we have to snap it in place. And then just lift up a little bit on that and then just snap it over. That's it. All it takes.
Got it all positioned right. So the back's in, the 2 places in front. It's all snapped back together. Now it seems somewhat solid at this point. I did not check the main trigger. You probably want to pull that trigger just to make sure there's nothing getting in the way. All right, we're going to put that side on. Make sure you just lift it up a little bit and get it through that ring right there. Yep, just get that little bit right in through that ring, and then it'll all snap together. All right, let's get the cover on. Just pick one side. There's a little place for detent. Make sure that's in there. And it should just go right together. You shouldn't have to force anything if it's all lined up right. All right, now we can put some screws in this thing. I'm going to go ahead and do the battery compartment first. That one's easy. All the screws are the same. All right, that's the battery cover. Now let's get the rest of these screws in here. going to go ahead and do the long one. You can see where it goes. If you try putting one of the long one in the other spot, you'll find out very quickly it is not going to go all the way in. Now, I haven't tried all the holes it might, but let's do the black one. There's where those tweezers and my fat fingers come in. All right, let's go ahead and do the short ones now. Once again, those tweezers are invaluable trying to put those things in there. Otherwise, I'd be there all day. And those are just the two right there at the top going into the ring. All right, there we go. Oops. Maybe. All right, there's that. All the rest of the screws are the same size, so we just got to make sure you get them in the correct hole. And I'm going to speed through this as well. And check those buttons one last time before I put the cover on. Everything seems good. Now, when you go to put the joystick cap cover on, make sure that spring's not depressed for some reason, and you want to make sure it's going up and down. Don't have it at an angle, because that spring actually has to fit up inside of the cap a little bit. And you want to make sure that it gets up in there. If it doesn't, the capacitive function doesn't work. It's not that big a deal to take it back off, but if you get it where it's pretty much straight up and down, it seems to fit much better. All right, now we're ready to put the cover back on. And when you put the cover on, it is possible to get it a little too far left or right. There's a little bit of wiggle room, but not a lot, and you can press up against one of your buttons. So just kind of check it as you're putting it down. If any of them seem like they're hanging off, you might want to pop it off and just reposition it slightly and see if that helps. All right, cover plate on. Everything seems like it's working. Let's get the strap back in. Throw that battery in. Cover on, and hopefully all is well.